Hello, our lovely audience. Welcome to this episode of the Youth Roundtable, premiering for the second time in the month of women, the month that we dedicate, our time and our efforts to acknowledging the triumphs and tribulations that women make to empowering society. Of course, great minds and great men like Nelson Mandela once said that, empower a woman and empower a nation. So in whatever we do, let us continue to uplift that woman. If there is that woman who sells tomatoes in the market, just try to support a woman who is trying to do something for themselves, because at the end of the day, they carry a lot of baggage on their shoulders. So the women, we wish you well, and that's just an icebreaker. Today, we shall be talking about the patronage system in Uganda's system, and this we shall be talking about it in the realms of politics, in the realms of institutions, in the realms of society as well. And of course, it has gone to the extent of our budgeting processes, where we have money put aside for donations for the executive, for the legislature. I'm not sure about the judiciary. But well, the issue of patronage in Uganda is what has convened us here this afternoon. And viewers, welcome. I have a panel of distinguished three gentlemen and a lady that I now introduce to you, and in no particular order. From the Uganda National Students Association is its 34th or 35th? 34th Secretary for Publicity, and the name is Twekambe Kabaruli. Kabaruli, we are happy to have you for the first time.
Oh, thank you so much, Comrade Chidega. For me and Chidega, we are friends, we are comrades, and I must say we've been here for one another, for
Sure.
tit for tat, right away from way back in Makere. We met in Unsa as his blogger. Then we were the chief social media campaign managers in terms of social media to beautify him in the National Youth Council, and I'm glad that we won. And today we have met here on the round table. I'm glad that you have hosted me. Before you, I am Twekambe Kabaruli, TK. I am the 34th National Secretary for Publicity and Information of Uganda National Students Association. Glad to be here to discuss on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. And indeed, we rise by lifting others. Next to TK is a gentleman from the newly launched Yellow Youth Movement Initiative, from within the NRM party. The name is Jimmy Okulu. Jimmy, we are happy to have you. And also a guild president of...
Guild Speaker.
Guild Speaker, yes.
Metropolitan.
Yes, please.
I must say thank you so much to our moderator, Kidega Moses. I am glad to be here and to share my ideas on and views on the topic that is on table. I am serving right now as the Guild Speaker of Metropolitan International University. I ran for UNSA last election for Secretary of Finance, and then I lost to my sister, Komusinje, yes. But yes, I've also interacted with a number of young people at the National Youth Council, where I met Kidega around 2020 during that election period. I am glad to meet all my fellow comrades here and hope for the best for today.
Wow, very interesting. From Uganda's oldest political party is the Democratic Party, and its youth wing is the Uganda Young Democrats. With us today is the Vice President, Sayuni Helen. Helen, we're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting us. From the DP, we bring a lot of experience, and exposure of the political spectrum. So thank you for hosting me. And thank you for hosting us always to talk about issues that are really so pressing and which can build this country. Many people are avoiding this topic. I wonder where you got the courage to bring us to talk about these things, because mostly they are going to affect us, the younger people, in the long run.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least is a gentleman who dared to do and, at a young age dared to contest for Member of Parliament in 2021 for Kasese Municipality under the National Unity Platform. He's a lawyer by training and a first time on the Youth Roundtable. Sam Baluk is the name. Sam, you're happy to have
Thank you so much, Brother Kidega. My name is Baluku Sam. Of course, I'm a lawyer by profession and a politician by situation. And I'm also the speaker for the Rwenzori Youth Region Parliament. I'm also a member of the 6th East African Youth Parliament. So basically that's what I do. I've been here before. I participated in the CCG debates and the Civic spaces. So I'm glad to be here once again. Thank you so much.
All right, we are happy to have you. Well, let's just begin right away. And okay, since you have the microphone, let's just begin right here. What do you understand by patronage? I mean, there is a viewer out there who is wondering, you know, what's this patronage thing that we're talking about. So, in a nutshell, what is patronage to you?
Basically, patronage is a kind of, I'll say, a kind of indoctrination or circumstances, someone being held up by circumstances that surround them, and maybe how society decides on how it is going to proceed. Basically, most times, patronage comes in an event where people's conscience is betrayed by the circumstances around them. For example, you have values that you believe in as an individual, you have values that you stand for, but then there's an extra force that comes in to destabilize you or to hold your conscience captive, so that even in an event where you're in position to speak up or to act the right way, you come and act the other way around. So basically, when we look at patronage, we look at it is more of an influence. I may not say it is it comes as an influence of either duress or an influence, but here patronage is it deals with your intellect, your intellectual kind of thinking. It deals with a mindset that as an individual you decide on what to do, whether wrong or bad, because you're looking at something productive, either because the situation pushes you into that, then you try to put all your thoughts, mind, and onto something of such a nature. So basically, that's what I can talk about.
Helen, what's patronage to you?
Well, patronage entails capturing one's thinking, how they act, because you exert yourself and you rule that kind of individual. When you find yourself being ruled and controlled, that you cannot think on your own, you cannot act on your own, like you cannot do anything on your own and as an individual, because everyone has that capacity to think on their own and act on their own. In the political spectrum, if for example you are DP, or you already know that you're in the opposition, so if you're patronized, you are already compromised to even, you don't know where you belong now. And that is patronage for me in that regard. So it is basically the art of controlling someone. You putting someone in a boardroom. That is it for me.
Okay, interesting. Yes, TK, what's patronage to you?
As for the write-ups, they say patronage is this kind of governance whereby you find the government chooses to give jobs in accordance to who supported the other, who played this role. In other ways, it entails making sure that you give a job to the one who has showed you support vis-a-vis or against the merit system. But in my own understanding, the patronage is where you have the godfather who dictates what you should do, irrespective of having the position. It is so much happening in youth leadership, including UNSA, everywhere. As long as you find you're not economically stable, trust me, the sponsor will have a bigger dictation. That's what I can say with patronage.
Yeah.
And it is in form of social, political, and economic. And I don't know if you can give me this time to explain. Maybe we'll give the brother to explain more. But in the next episode, I'll come and explain how patronage exists in form of economic, social, and politically.
Wow, interesting. That's a good nutshell. Yes, Jimmy.
Wow. No. I think, first of all, I want to qualify the definitions and the ideas that have been shared by my comrades here on that same issue. To me, patronage can come in a form of appreciation that one begin to act a certain way because they feel that someone actually helped them out during the time that they did not deserve to actually be elevated. Now, when they are elevated, they begin to do things according to the person that has elevated them. So whoever has elevated them in any way and in any form, either in a form of saying, you do not deserve this job, but I have given it to you, just as my brother TK has brought it, or you did not deserve to win this race, but I supported you financially, then I deserve to kind of monitor your action to be in line with what I appreciate it to be, even if it is not in line with your individual merit of how I would love to actually act as a person. So that kind of inculcated behavior will come either as an appreciation or as an oppression. That would be my
Wow, wow, very interesting. I think I'm also learning a lot from you guys. But now let's delve a bit deeper into let's say, the political patronage. And I'll begin with you, Sam. Sam, we have had, words like Bobby Tasobia. And, rightly so. If you look at the formation of political parties in Uganda, they are formed around individuals, all right? If you look at the NRM, it was largely formed around President Museveni. You look at the FDC, and Kizza Besigye. You look at, even in Kenya, you look at ODM and Raila Odinga. So it is difficult to distinguish between political parties in Uganda and, political parties in Africa and individuals. So do you think that political parties in Africa have managed to outlive the individualism, who then become the patrons that end up patronizing these political parties?
Thank you so much, Brother Kidega. I think the biggest challenge we have in Uganda and Africa and politics is the politics of influence. In a way that, whereas our forefathers or the first political actors in Africa were value-based, today political excellence is now based on influence and kind of popularity. The reason as to why you see most NRM, for example, NRM members of parliament, ministers, trying to bend law, even keep silent about issues that happen around them, it's because they are aligned or their allegiance is paid to one individual. At times, even when the individual does something contrary, because their values are based on his influence, they know if I'm not attached to NRM and I'm from Western Uganda, they find themselves being patronized by the influence or the popularity of the principle. I think it also goes back to NUP, where I come from. Most of the MPs we have in parliament today, even those that crossed from the DP bloc, may not have come to NUP because of the values they stand for or the values of the party, but because the party had a principal who was popular and had the influence, they thought it wise that they should come and do what? And be part of the influence and the political excellence that one individual does what? Was bearing by then. So basically, when I get back now to our point of discussion tonight, our conscience and values and individual values have been compromised, because currently, when we look at the status quo, our politics is based on influence, is based on popularity. For example, the NUP. I can't imagine the NUP without the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi. At times I look at the NRM without President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in a way that we've been betrayed that for one to prosper, for one to succeed into the political kind of struggle, they're supposed to align with themselves with popularity and influential political parties. Unlike the Honorable Asumani Vasalirwa, who has remained JMA, he stood for MP, I think, around 2001. He has been through the processes, not until he went through recently in 2018 when there was a by-election in Vujiri. And as we talk now, he's the only MP that subscribed to the Justice Forum in Parliament, simply because he stood for the values of his party, and he was consistent and patient until he succeeded. But this is not common now with us, with the young generation these days. We look at where they call it electricity. I'm sorry to say that. They call it electricity. They look at where they are going to easily be identified, where their numbers and popularity. So in an event where now the principle betrays what they believe in, now you realize they all shift to what? To the other side. Like DP itself. When Mao was a pillar in DP, when he went the other side, we saw the Secretary General going and the others remaining.
Has he gone that side?
Of course, they are working with
the NRM.
With the NRM government. They did not believe in themselves that they can remain where they are and still deliver to the expectations now of the party members. Now, as we talk now, even when they've gone, the party is in stumble, simply because people thought they are the idea bearers. They hold the electricity in this contest. But if we had strong opposition politicians or people who believe in their party ideologies and values, even when the principle goes the other side, the party ought to remain standing. So I believe it is a generational issue that need to be addressed.
Wow, very elaborate. Helen, let me come to you. So unlike the NRM, unlike NUP, unlike ODM in Kenya, whereby their founding fathers are still here, the argument of political parties being formed around individuals might stand for NRM, might stand for NUP and ODM and the rest. But now for Democratic Party, the party has outlived its founding fathers. So the argument that, political parties are formed around individuals, and therefore that in itself results into patronage as a system of governance of the party, might not stand for Democratic Party. So in the DP, like he has actually cited out, there are elements of patronage as well, because there are people who will follow Norbert Mao over a cliff, all right? Whether he is going to the NRM, they will go with him irrespective. So I don't know, are we missing out on the point of analysis of the entire patronage issue?
Thank you so much. I would like to first correct my brother here that DP is still standing and it's a party, a standalone party. We still have functional offices and we still have members of parliament who are still on DP ticket, reasoning ably alone. So the analogy of patronage kind of does not actually apply to DP properly.
I think he was saying that your leader, okay, he used the word crossed.
My leader has not crossed. He's working in the government of Uganda as the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. But to put that to rest, I think the problem with Africa is the absence of democracy. Where democracy is absent, then that's when people will start following individuals, because as they have said it, there is electricity there, and therefore you must charge yourself. If there was democracy, then the electricity would be with the masses, and therefore you don't need any individual to get to anywhere. That is why tomorrow I am worried if we do not have Museveni, if we do not have Bobby Wine, I wonder what is going to happen to us. And that is what is bringing all the chaos and all that we have now. If we had a fully functional, rule of the game of politics, that you can actually participate properly. You go present yourself to the voters and you launch your manifesto properly and clearly state it that I'm going to do this, and then the voters scrutinize you and say, now this one can go, then the question of patronage wouldn't be there. But patronage was birthed the day we killed democracy in Africa.
Okay, but what is democracy?
Democracy is when the rule of the game is very clear that you're going to go present yourself to the voters and the voters will choose. But now, in the Western Uganda where I come from, the moment you get the NRM ticket, Museveni comes on board and says, "Oguno mwana wanje," you go on.
Okay. Do you think Saudi Arabia is a democracy? Okay. Do you think Saudi Arabians consider their country a democracy?
The difference between our countries and such a country like Saudi Arabia is that for them there is some kind of openness. And I would, even you talked about countries like Kenya, but you cannot rate Kenya with Uganda here. And the rate at which patronage is here is different from even all those other countries that you may talk about in Africa. For us, we are up there, my brother. For us, we are leading in the game. For us, the systems have been killed, and therefore, when the systems are killed, in Kenya at least you can see that there is a system. There is an independent electoral body, and even if you want to compel it to do anything, the masses are already out there, and they are going to practice their rights.
There's more civic awareness.
There is more civic awareness. People know their rights. People know what they ought to do. For us here, even civic education is almost at zero. For you to get information, you must look for it. The informed people here are very few. That people know their rights, people know what they're supposed to do, compared to any other African country, by the way. Well, there may be others that are like us, but for us here, it is at another level. So, for me, I believe that the patronage that we have now, for us to pour it down, if we are to pour it down and then have a clean and clear country, then we must deal with the systems, clean up the systems. If it is democracy, have our leaders elected democratically, not that if for example in Uganda here they have formed their own body and they will believe and follow this. If we clean it and say that these are the qualifications to go to parliament, or these are the qualifications to go to any position or even to attain any job, then this is clear, it is written out there and it is seen. If it is not that, then we still have issues. You had people questioning how employees are recruited in parliament. You never see any advert, but because you know someone there, you will just kukukuta, you will pass through corners and get yourself there. Even we don't know even whether they have qualifications. And those are the problems that we have for me. For me, I think we should make the rules of the game very clear and put them on table, and then we shall deal with that whole question of patronage.
Wow, fantastic. TK, let me get to you. And because this is the Women's Month, I'm going to really rely on books authored by women. And Michelle Obama, in her book Becoming, argues that merit can outlive sentiments of tribe and rest. That if you're good at what you do, no matter the level of patronage, no matter the level of racism, you will still stand out. So do you think in the context of Uganda, merit can still outcompete patronage? Because you are a leader of students, you are a leader of a group of emerging professionals who hope that they will undertake an education system and through their merit find themselves being employed as permanent secretary, Minister of ICT, because of their well-equipped knowledge. Or they'll find themselves heading an institution like, say, UNRWA, all right, whereby they won't have to worry about, okay, do I have to be from this family? So do you think merit in today's context can outlive the aspects of patronage?
To a smaller extent, merit can outlive the patronage, more so in the civic world, whereby people know what exactly they want. However, the economic state of our country cannot allow it to happen. Like, for example, if you're contesting Like for example, let's look at the third election of UNSA, whereby we had one person who was doing journalism, and another one did not have any clue about journalism and media related stuff. But in an event whereby you find that someone is loaded, has moved because of having a lot of money,
resources,
has mobilized everyone because of the resources, you do not bring your merit. And another instance is that we are living in a country whereby people have to share the fees. Everything is pushed to their side. They do not think there is this person who has this very skill, who should be considered. Instead, is he a relative? If he's a relative, then it is fine. Did he support me? If he supported me, then it is fine. And that has had a big effect, whereby different departments, different ministries are not performing to the expectations, because we do not have experts in them. If it was an issue of merit, every sector would be performing very well. However, we've had we have instances whereby you find everyone wants to bring a family member, a supporter, without considering the expertise they have. So, to a smaller extent, there are those institutions that will consider merit. Now, like for example, you will find it in institutions like Makere. At least it is an issue of merit, whereby if you do not have a first class, if you do not have a PhD, you cannot find yourself. I'm saying at least. It does not exclude that Makerere in everything that is happening there in terms of recruitment is okay. However, you find some circumstances of patronage in it. But with the ministries, different ministries, things are rotten, including parliament. So, to a smaller extent, you'll find merit outliving patronage. But patronage has taken over almost everything. That is my submission, and I'm speaking from the honest point of view.
Okay, wow, very interesting. Jimmy,
Yes.
now, with the way we are moving, I'm forced to now open the conversation a bit. Now, if you look at the aspect of, because TK brings in the aspect of nepotism, that, opportunity is given to those who you know, a relative and things like that. Or, a tribesman, a henchman and things like that. So I don't know, how can we realize a country where these factors like your tribe, religion, what you believe in, those parochial identities become secondary to aspects like merit? Because TK points out the aspect of the public service that is not working, because the people who are finding themselves in these jobs are actually not qualified. And they're living qualified technocrats, but because they don't know anyone, they are unable to access that job. So, how possible is it for us to see ourselves as one? That Jimmy Okulu, you come from Apache, he comes from Kasese, but you see yourselves as one Ugandan. How can we achieve that? Because I think if we achieve that, then the person who is interviewing for a job won't care to know that you're from Apache, you're from Kasese, he won't care to know, because he'll see you as a Ugandan. So how can we achieve that Ugandan character about us?
Listening to you and also having in mind the things that are happening right now, it is quite challenging to respond, but this is a generation that must respond to challenging questions like such. And if you asked me how do we respond to this situation, because as TK has elaborated, I know even if all of us were to speak out on how much patronage has taken over the public service, the politics of this country, but even in the business world, you'll be astonished. But it is not to us only to elaborate the problem, but also to look deep on the solution, as you have said. And I believe one of the most important solution is what is already occurring. That with the visionary leadership of President Museveni, he looked at one thing, that first, I need to introduce a system where young people can acquire skills. Because if we are going to look at the merit and the skills that need to be inculcated into the job system, then we need to have those skills first.
True.
And so we see UPE comes in and does its job, USE comes in, and now at the university level, we see now the loan system coming in.
Sure.
And you'll see the number of institutions that are trying to give skills to the young people increasing. And not only that, when you talk about how do we make Uganda a one people Uganda, not a tribalistic Uganda, I see a mass of people moving to find education in different places. I am from Apache. I am now here speaking Luganda, and not as good as my sister, but at least I can be able to communicate. But also, there is one who is in Gulu University and is doing the same. And I feel this, when you live in Gulu for a couple of years, you begin to adopt to a fact that I think I am not only Munyankole, but also I'm a Ugandan.
Actually,
because
just to buttress your argument,
yes,
was a book written by, I forget the name, but it was about Indonesia and how Indonesia was really a scattered nation.
Yes.
But because of the visionary ideas of its leader, Sukarno, that policy was adopted,
yes,
whereby if you come from this part of the region, you are bound to like have your education from a different part of the region.
Exactly.
It was like policy. You cannot be born in the West and you go to school in the West, you're forced to go elsewhere else.
Exactly.
And I think today Indonesia has successfully gone ahead to create a nation. Yeah,
yes. And Uganda, it may not be a policy as such that when you are from Lango, then you move to maybe Western Uganda, and but it is happening naturally.
Naturally.
And I think the natural bit of it even makes it more
You see,
achievable.
The risk with it being natural, with it being an organic process, is that if you look at in terms of education, most of the top schools are in Kampala and Wakiso.
Yes.
So what is the chance that someone who is born from Buganda will find the need to go to a secondary school in the north? I mean, which schools are there? Laibi College
Yes.
is defunct. Tororo Girls is Lango. I mean, so I think for that to happen, there needs to be equal distribution
Exactly.
of this infrastructure
Exactly.
and of these resources.
Yes.
Whereby someone from the West would feel comfortable leaving entire school and going to Boroboro
Okay,
in Laos.
I think
Yeah.
that was the quality of education. Just that when the system of urbanization came in, it tried to confine even service delivery within the urban areas.
True.
And I think the adoption of saying, let us increase the number of cities so that we can have a city in Gulu, so that in case service provision is quality due to urbanization, we can have a quality service provision in Gulu and in Lira, because it has also gained a city status. I see that coming when you talk about that. But also, when you look at the university setting, if you are going to do medicine, for example, in Shaka, at KIU, you will study for your first 3 years in KIU. But in the 4th year, you will have to go and study in another area of Uganda altogether. So there is that field a section of the education studies that you don't necessarily have to do from your university. So you are forced to be taken to Gulu, not because that is where you've chosen, but that is how the division within your year has placed you. So you end up in Chiriandongo, for example, you end up in maybe Amoro, for example, and you find that within your 6 years of studies, you have actually studied in different areas of Uganda at the end of the day. And then when you finish, then they take you that now you need to go and do internship to get this certification. And then they say, okay, your internship will be in Moroto.
Yeah.
Then you will find that you have moved around the country and appreciated that everyone in this country are actually human beings like those that are in your family. And this has tried to unite us. But also there is an element that is growing, Kidega, that today, a lot of intermarriages is happening.
That is true.
And individuals are trying to appreciate that, yes, if I come from a patch, probably a better wife comes from Mbarara. Or if I come from Masaka, I think a better wife I have found comes from Arua. And that is going to evolve and reach a point where my children, my grandchildren, can no longer say I am a Langi and only a Langi.
True.
But I am a Langi, at the same time I'm a Musoga, but also I am a Mugisu.
Therefore, I am a Ugandan.
I am Ugandan. So at the end of the day, these are going to take a slow pace, but we see it coming to have a better outcome.
Yes,
Allow
yes,
me to
take
chip
it.
in, one thing to do away with patronage, so that we can have a country that has values and considers merit, is to do a lot of patriotism. Then two is to do moral teaching and implementation, so that every institution, every political party, every organization to be led by principles and values. In that, and they should be extensively taught to the community. In that, he who breaches these values and principles can be terminated, and the world gets yes
Terminated, yeah. Okay, termination in the sense, I hope you don't mean killing them.
not killing
Dismissal.
them.
Okay, maybe dismissed.
Like
Be
their contracts.
dismissed.
Okay.
Be dismissed from these positions they are holding. In that, we get to see quality services, quality values, quality morals that is experienced in every sector.
Yeah.
Then another thing is that we should also have systems, just like my brother has said, systems that allow people to appreciate diversity. And systems should also be in the education system. Say, for example, if you're studying education, just like it is with the medical students, whereby they do not have a chance to choose for themselves, just like it is with LODC, whereby it is the system that places you there. We also need to see at least it happening almost in every education sector, whereby if I am a teacher and I am to a Kambi, of which my origin can be traced from Bunyoro or Toro, let me be placed to Gulu, so that I go learn the values that the people of Acholi have. If he is Akulu, let him be placed in Kabale, so that he goes and sees what do Bachiga, what values do they have, so that it doesn't feel like this is my own thing, I am supposed to behave in such a way,
Yeah.
so that we respect diversity, and make sure that at least there is morality. Otherwise, if we continue with this system whereby there's nothing that is being checked, we let people to continue with the way how they are doing things, I am telling you, we are heading nowhere.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I think what I take from your point, the two of you, is unity in diversity. And Helen, the two gentlemen have made a watertight argument for unity in diversity from the educational lens. But people like Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, through the Ujama, adopted a different idea of how to unify Tanzania. Tanzania has, I got to know, it has over 124 tribes. The Chagas, the Maasai, so many. But if you met a Tanzania outside Tanzania, you would not know whether they're from Dodoma or Arusha. You can't tell because there's that Kiswahili factor. I mean, they all speak Kiswahili, and there is that national unity about them. I don't know, where did Uganda miss the point? And yes, but maybe you'll tell us on, was it at the point where, you know, post-independence, as the state was being formed, did we miss a point therein? But also, Helen, the aspect of a factor that we can all coalesce around, like a language. Do you think that, I don't know, what solution do you think we could consider?
Having a national language would be the best thing for Uganda. But I'm scared Ugandans are deluded. You know, even passing it to be on the national curriculum of all level was a big challenge. So I think having a national language and appreciating it would be the best thing. But I think we lost it at the independence level where we accepted that. And even these partitions that took place, you know, you know that you are now this is Chigezi, you know, this is and the Kigezi speaks this language and all that. So we lost it at that. But it would be very important if at one level we all agreed as Ugandans, I don't know, through a referendum or through what, and agreed that in Uganda this shall be our language. But you know what, another problem we are going to face is Ugandans agreeing on which language. You saw another problem. The Muganda is going to tell you Uganda is actually spoken by the majority in Uganda. So I think that can be that should be our national language. And then the Banyagolo will also say, you know, we are the majority. We are many, so this should be our language. So I believe that having such and also having such rules that they are talking about, can we have patriotism very well inculcated and you know, imparted on our people? We have lost it that we no longer have patriotism lessons. When you were in schools, there are days we would wake up, you wake up at 6 a.m., do some running all over, chaka, and come and gather in one place and then talk. All that has been rubbished. We used to have debate compulsory in our schools. It is no longer there. Some schools debate is you do when you want. Some schools don't even know whether debate exists. And those are some of the things that groom leaders. You know, a leader can also even be groomed in a school, even with a different language, even with different tribes.
Let me just add something onto your point. Sorry to interrupt, but in Uganda we have what we call the Illiterates Act, and Council, you know it. That if someone cannot speak English, then they are illiterate. I don't know when we are going to begin to decolonize our systems, because how is someone illiterate? Because they cannot speak a layman's language, but they can speak the Acholi very well, but somehow they are illiterate.
And actually communicate.
Can you imagine?
Communicate sense.
Yes, and in Uganda, our parliament, the laws dictate that you can only use English.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Whereas in Kenya, you can use English and Kiswahili. So, again, I don't know. I feel like we are continuing to fall into the trap of the white man continuously and just not allowing ourselves to break chains and you know.
Of course, we are still at it. We are still under colonialism. The other ones left. But we are not seeing the white here, but we are living under a white. So that itself is around. So I feel we can even start at now at curriculum level. Can we put like a subject on patriotism, so that as our kids grow up in schools, they are taught that this is how Ugandans act. You know, that a child grows up, you stop thinking within the shell of the school. You know, some kids grow up and what they are thinking is they are thinking only on what they are seeing. And when you're in a Kabbalah, in a primary school like mine, you're only seeing your fellow Wasiga young kids, and you're only thinking that you are the only people that exist. So for me, I believe if we imparted it to the kids at a young age, we have a patriotism class, we start telling them that in Uganda this and this exists. To be a Ugandan, these are the prerequisites that every Ugandan, you must respect this. Then we can have it maybe. I believe at curriculum level, we can actually forcefully impart patriotism within ourselves. Because normally what a child picks from school can even be easily spread to the community than the community spreading this side. Because the community, there is a way it believes in the educated.
True.
We must accept that. So if we had it at education level, it would easily be spread around.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Interesting. Sam, let me end with you before you go for a short commercial break. And still my question is to build up on what I asked Helen.
Yes.
And, okay, I have a dissenting view to what Helen thinks of patriotism.
Yes.
My own opinion is that patriotism is a feeling.
Yes.
It is, you live it every day. You grow to love your country by virtue of the conditions that you're subjected to.
Yes.
No matter how many lessons you'll take me to about patriotism in class, if tomorrow I want to walk into a healthcare system that cannot serve my basic health needs, if tomorrow I want to walk into a class and I'm forced to sit under a tree, no matter how much you tell me about patriotism, I will never feel it. All right? If I have to drive through a city of potholes, no matter the lessons that you take me through, I will not feel that love for the country. So to me, contrary to the academic approach towards it, I think that it should be more about the services that the government gives the people. That if the services and there is an enabling environment, believe me, people get to love their country. You even won't have to force them. But well, that's my opinion. My question before the break is that still on the aspect of national unity, I want to pick your mind on Uganda's political history.
Yeah.
All right? At the point of state formation, are there certain things that we did not look at that point, that we missed out, and that's why we find ourselves grappling with these challenges 60 years later?
Thank you so much, Brother Kidega. 60 years down the road, when Uganda got her independence in 1962, of course we had political parties coming in. Patronage started as early as in the 1950s, whereby this political party was for Catholics, this was for Protestants.
Yeah.
Then even after independence, then we see Kabaka Yeka coming in, and it has pushed us till date. That even when I stood for MP in Kassim municipality, they'll tell us, you're using NUP as your flag. You guys, NUP is for the Baganda. At times when people from the Western subscribe to NRM, the people in the Central will think NRM is for Westerners. I think it goes back to history now, that we've not done so much as a generation to detach ourselves from history. We are still being patronized by our conscience and by the doctrine, the indoctrination that was put into us up until date. I also believe that he talked about the educated being the stakeholders in this, on how best they can challenge the status quo. I also tend to believe that the educated are also betraying the struggle towards liberating ourselves from this kind of patronage. For example, when you look at Parliament itself, this is a Speaker of Parliament earning a lot of money, earning a heavy salary, but at the same time he has an allowance for donations, for example. So they will eventually go to the community, do donations, give what I would call contributions, because they have a budget. If we did not have these donations in their budgets, probably they would use part of the salaries to do what? to give back to the people. Now, if a government is in position to provide social services
Yes.
in its interiority and in its full capacity, why would then we budget for donations? So you see that the patronage kind of system starts at the top, even starts with the educated. That a speaker of parliament, a leader of opposition, a deputy speaker has a budget. The prime minister, they have a budget to go and donate. And what comes in? They are doing this at the expense of the taxpayer.
True.
It's like I have a mango tree. You come in the night, steal my mangoes, and then tomorrow you see me hungry. You come and be like, you sympathize with me the next day that, you know what? I see you're very hungry. I have some mangoes here with me. Please have and do what? And have a piece and do something like that. So you find most times they will use our own money to again come and do what? And donate to us, so that our minds are held captive. So basically, we are taking this back to the founders, our forefathers and founders of this country, that they did not do so much to unify Uganda. The reason as to why you said Dr. Boroboro, Lango College are backsliding is because at some point, when someone from the northern was in power, they got the services. Whereas in Kasese, the first secondary school was established in 1974. We were in wars doing what? Whereas people in Lango and the other side had schools. The other time I was in Lira, there were good prison services, hospitals. Whereas this other side, people were languishing in poverty with the wars and the like. So now this time, now that another region has taken over, the other side is languishing in poverty and social services. This other side is doing what? So basically, as a generation, I believe it starts with us, and it also starts with the mindset. Now, if a member of parliament can be compromised with 5 million, 10 million, even when he's entitled to allowances, even when he has a cow of about 200 million, even when they have these travel allowances and the like, but they still go ahead to become silent. Now, like the saga that is ongoing, the
exhibition,
in the exhibition and what, most members of parliament are quiet simply because they have personal interests and relationship maybe with a speaker, and because they cannot come out in the limelight to criticize what is going in parliament. Now, for example, when you look at the patronage that is going on, even the so-called elites, the elites are the ones who brought it. You look at the term limits, just of recent, the age limit. We are being patronized by one man for about 40-some plus years, simply because a few people, because the so-called elites, the representatives of the people, decided to betray their conscience. They decided to be compromised to an event that they were bribed and amended the constitution. So basically, I think this does not go to who is elite or what, but it goes back to our morality now as Ugandans, that we've been subjected to absolute poverty. And you know, when you're poor, of course, you're easily ruled. When he was looking at the diversification, the unity in diversity, Kasese, for example, in the 60s and 50s had Kilembe mines, we had Katwe salt mines, we had the train that stretched up to Kasese, and people from Marua, by the way, even in Kasese, we have a place called Acholi Quarters. We have a place called Chiteso, where the Itesot used to stay. Like, people used to come from up country and came to work. So industrialization, for in this sense, would make people travel all the way from up country, go to the other regions, so as in search for employment opportunities, which is not happening today. All the industries are gone. All the factories, the traditional factories, are nowhere to be seen. So basically, we have a lot to do as a country, in that most people, the leaders we have today, even Ugandans, are all target workers. They look at how best am I going to benefit from this, instead of having the moral values. Of course, as the economy becomes harsh, it now goes into compromising our individual values and morality, simply because we are now into politics of survival. not politics of service or leadership, but because we want to survive. Even in these political parties where we come from, there are people who pay allegiance to individuals. You know that if this individual left the party today, people would not do what? Would not be part. And even some people are silent. I tend to believe that even in the NRM, some people are looking at the loopholes. But simply because they're looking at survival, that's how they earn, that's how they do this and that, they will keep quiet. We have state scholarships. But accessing it, my friend, you find even the sons of the rich are the ones getting the state scholarships. We had the loan scheme. Still, the people who are privileged would still push for this. So I believe it is a generational problem that needs a generational approach, I think. We, the young people now, have that giant within us that we ought to awaken so that we can easily address these issues. I stood for MP on the NUP ticket. But then these NRM people, instead of empowering me, either leaving me do what I believe in, all they will do is to intimidate me and say, Sam, you're a young man. You have a great future ahead of you. Why don't you come this side? We know you need a job. Like, that is how we are being taken for granted. That even when you come up as a youth or as a young person has gone to school and you have issues you are addressing, you're taken you're taken as unemployed, you're taken as young, as if you've not seen a lot, and so you need to be the other side. We have a few General Kahindo Tafiris in this Uganda who will openly come out and criticize something that, no, look, this is an army serving officer who wants to become president. Let him first resign. Okay, we are fighting nepotism. We are doing this. We are looking at... There are very few people simply because we've been patronized. We've been made poor and we've been nurtured in a way of survival. So I tend to believe as a generation or as a country, we need to nurture a new breed of leaders. Leaders that will not identify themselves by where they come from. We have actually, in Kasese, where I come from, I'm sorry to use that, but for learning purposes, there was a point where our grandfathers used to give our fathers names of Rutoro simply because to help you survive. Because education was the other side. So go pretend that you are Mtoro so that you can easily do what? Go through. There are other people who these days no longer give these traditional names of ours to deter their children from being identified. Even when you are a bit you are a bit exposed, at times even your name now takes you back to the other side. For example, we had the 216 clashes of Rwenzori Kingdom. But at times when someone looks at you, you think, these people are violent or what? Like we are being labeled, character assassinated. So we have a very, very long way to go. That the patronage starts within us, starts with our mindset, and starts with the values that we believe in.
Wow, it was so hard to stop you because you were indeed putting out so much knowledge and information. We are due for a short commercial break, but don't move because as you can witness, there is so much learning taking place. See you shortly after.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
We'll be back from that short commercial break. We'll just continue from really where we stopped. Jimmy, the aspect of donations is where Sam stopped in. That if if there was an existent sufficient social service, that the education system is affordable, healthcare system is affordable, the transport system, you won't have to undergo an extra mile to transport your tomatoes from a patch to Kampala. If these things were in existence, the donations would not mean much to the voter or to the population. But then they mean much because through that donation, they're then able to access a better social service. So, I don't know, because I don't know, it just beats my understanding. Why budget for donations, yet this money can go into improving either the healthcare or the education system? So is it intentional to budget for donations in a way that, it creates the patronage system?
Kidega, I would buy to that idea that yes, if all the social services that are necessary for the citizens are in place, there would be no need for donations. But it has toned down from the society. The issue of donations, the reason why donations is put in the budget and allocated to certain offices sometimes comes from the demand of the society. I believe that yes, we have not reached that point where social services is at 100%, where the road system are perfect, the education is perfect, and if you look across the world, the whole entire humanity is still struggling to make life better. When you go to first world countries like the USA, they have not stopped improving their social services. When you go to China, they are working every day to improve the social services. But when you talk about politics and political offices, you will find that the society will place a certain demand on certain offices, irrespective of whether they need the social services or the social services are available. You will find that still these demands will be there. Now, when you take, for example, you would say, as you had alluded to, that most of the best schools are around Kampala, the National Regional Hospital is here, but also different health services are here. But when an MP of Kampala goes to his community, you will realize that the demand they have is irrespective of the services that are required. So you will find yourself at a place where you, as you said, that you will have to take your salary. But Kidega, if you were to contest in your constituency, you will realize that every day of your week, you will receive a call, either someone has died, someone is sick, someone is hungry, someone, different kind of problems that the society will place before you. And you will ask yourself which social service can finish all these problems so that there is no demand from the society. And you realize that probably there is no one point where you reach and the society is asking you for nothing. And they're saying, you're educated, so go and lead. You don't need to give us anything. It is a difficult place, and we are still far away from that point. But before we reach that point, how do you help someone like the president of this country, where every time he arrives in a place, he is a solution? You don't know the problem, but you are sure this is the solution. So the society creates the problem. Whether the social services are there, they will create the problem. And then they know the president has to respond with a solution. If you are the president, how will you handle that if you do not have a budget to handle it? That means the next term of office, you are greedy, you are labeled as greedy, you are stingy, you don't care. Yes? Because if you don't give in your constituency, they will label you as a person who do not care about your people.
So now it has become politics of transaction.
It may be labeled so, but this transaction is not because the people that need to be in office desire so much to give. No. It is because there is a demand upon them that they must respond.
And we are saying that that demand is premised on social services.
Yes.
So for that demand to cease to exist, why can't you address the issue of social services? That demand will inevitably disappear.
Listen to me.
Because those
Should I interject
yes,
a bit?
please,
I think the reason as to why that demand becomes high, it's because society knows how these people earn from their positions. We have councillors at the local governments, but the demands are not so high because they know these people do not get that.
But there is
And the reason as to why these people demand so much from these MPs, they know how much they earn. They know that these MPs...
But you see, Sam,
most of
that does not address the issue. Because
Yes.
if that councillor, even at that level, is being demanded for whatever it is, contribute to ABCD, it means that the psychology of society is the same.
Exactly.
It's about asking the leaders to give us, irrespective. What differs is the quantity of what they're asking for. For a councillor, they'll ask for 10,000, an MP 100, then the president 1 million. But you know, like the cycle still exists.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
because they know.
The problem is high on the civic education and on the mindset change, other than on the leadership. Because you see,
Me, I think it's on services.
UPE was not there.
Me, I think it's on services.
People were crying that education is highly demanding from primary level. But when UPE came in, you realize that parents are asking for books. Mere books. Why? Because now they cannot say we need school fees. So now they say we need books and pens. I'm telling you, if someone gave them books and pens, they will have a different demand.
No, okay. Because you see, Jimmy, those parents who are asking for a book and a pen, it is because they cannot afford to walk to a shop and procure the same. Why? Because the economy is not working for them. This is probably a woman who grows simsim or grows cassava. If this woman was able to farm her produce and have access to market, whereby the value of their produce will not be sold at a price that cannot yield them a profit. If they're able to find market and their tomatoes don't rot in the garden, if the economy was working for them, if government was able to avail them with soft credit where they can borrow, expand their enterprises, they would have money sufficient enough not to cry to this politician to buy them a book and a pen. So still, I think all this, you cannot avoid the duty that the state has to its people. Because if the state is intentional, then, believe me, the citizenry is empowered. It's empowered. Because what does that woman or man in the village need? Ask yourself. They need the basics. They want to grow that tomato and transport it on a good road, whereby those 2, 3, 10 tomatoes that will drop off because of the bad roads don't happen, because all those become losses eventually to them. So I think that in all this, the government is a big duty bearer. I don't know what you guys think.
I want to agree with you that the problem we have is that the services are almost at zero delivery. So because they're at zero delivery, even when we are voting the leaders, we are not sure that they're going to perform. So the voter down there is like, akange camp and
Kati.
give me mine, I eat it now.
Now.
I am not sure if any service will do what?
Will
come through. But anyway, why do we need a donation of a speaker who earns 9,900 per diem? Why do we need a donation from them? Because the donation should be from your heart. Like you're getting it from your little
pocket.
You have a salary, you have a per diem that is coming through, but you again want
have fuel.
donations as the budget. I believe that is where the whole service delivery thing gets dying.
Money for clothing.
Okay. Do we give tithe? Do we give tithe in church?
We do.
We do.
Yes.
So do we consider that a donation to the church?
It is not a donation to church. It is it's almost a service from you.
So
Because-
do you end up patronizing the church because you've given them that money or that donation? So what's the difference between that and the community that we give these donations?
The debate about church is a very sensitive debate. You even know there is a debate behind that churches should be taxed
account, yes, okay.
by the government. So it's a very sensitive discussion for us to even dive in right now.
Okay.
But the fact is, we do not need donations on the budget for anyone who is earning a salary of the sort of an MP, of a speaker. We don't need it there. We need the services. Then if you want to donate, you donate from your per diem. You know the per diem of the speaker, even if you donated 1% of
Money
it
for
to
entertainment.
a person down there, it is enough for them. Because what does an average Ugandan need a day to live in this country? It is not even 2,000. And you know what 2,000 is on the per diem of the speaker? It is not even 1% of that money. So for me, I believe that the donations and all that can be money that can be used to enhance infrastructure. You look at the road. No wonder these people have been really quiet of what is happening in this country. I can tell you, we are in shambles. You look at the roads, you go to these hospitals, you visit schools. Recently, there was a school that was circulating on media that fell on kids.
Yes.
They said it was not Torora. I saw the RDC saying it was not Torora. I don't know whether it was in Ghana or not. But no wonder they are quiet. That 1 point what billion the Mpugas, the commissioners divided, can at least make 500 meters of a road. The roads that we are crying
No,
of.
it costs only 78 million to put up a health center too. Only
that.
78. One person was given 500 million.
500
These are 6 health centers.
Do you realize there are districts
in a
that
village?
do not even
Yes.
have anything like a health center for?
Yes.
They are there.
Yes.
But people are seated somewhere sharing their kamanis and they are very quiet about it.
Yeah.
And for us, we are looking at them, waiting for services to come, and they're not going to come. For me, I believe that this budget, I don't know where we are going to be taking it for people to decide. I believe even the parliament is losing the mandate to debate it.
Okay, so, Tike, I'm coming to you, Sam, and prepare to address us on the issue of the legality around the budgeting process. Maybe you could tell us about, what does the Budget Act entail, or even the Public Finance Management Act of 2015. But for now, yes, Tike, I see your hand is up.
Okay, now, whereas Comrade Sayunzian tells us that the Speaker, the Prime Minister do not deserve to have donations in their budget, and this one says it's
They
because
deserve.
they deserve because the community demands a lot. For me, I believe it is a leadership question, and governance question. One, from the honest point of view, I am always discussing in the honest point of view. Why? Because
You mean first we are dishonest?
I'm
playing.
because when you look at what she's saying, that the speaker does not deserve to get donations. No, let's first look at unregulated commercialization of politics. I believe it is one way how they get the money they can in these elections to be voted in for. That is for being, if we are real. However, my question is, it should start with the regulating commercialization of politics.
How can we achieve that, like practically speaking? Because I think there is a law on that. I'm not sure, but the Political Parties and Organizations Act says something about finance for political parties, and so I don't know.
But I think
From the practical element, how can we achieve that? How can we reduce the money in politics?
I was still submitting. Then, whereas he says that it is the community that demands a lot, so we should give them. My point is one: can we allow everyone to account and do service as per the mandate? For example, I am being shocked that like 1 hour back, Mr. Chris Variomonsi is from tweeting. The speaker will continue to donate after showing us a receipt of where the speaker is from donating 450 million. It is Chris Obore who is from tweeting.
400
the
million.
speaker will continue to Nsambia Hospital on cancer.
About 400 million?
Cancer Rotary run, kind of.
Yes.
I asked myself, when did we reach here?
True. True.
Now, if one person can donate to one
400
to one hospital 450 million, it tells you in terms of donations, the speaker must be getting like 3 billions. Of which, yes,
Okay.
Those 300, rather 3 billions, if she can donate 500, rather 450 millions to a one Nsambia hospital, it tells you that she has like 3 billions at disposal.
Let me play the devil's advocate for a moment. If the speaker is donating 400 million to a hospital, what exactly is wrong with that? Because after all, the hospital is going to improve its capacity.
Okay.
So
now,
just as the devil's advocate.
The wrongness in it is that it is not the role of the speaker
to
donate to a hospital.
True.
Yes?
That money should go to the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Ministry of Health then is able to implement those services.
Are you getting me? The role of the speaker is to chair the house. Is that it? But not to make these donations to look like this one itself makes her look like a god.
Patronage, hence the patronage discussion.
So my whole point is, let us allow different institutions, different organizations, different sectors to perform their role. If we have given 500 to make a road, let that money do its role. So that we do not have questions of whereby you're asking for extra money as an MOP, whereby you say, now some money I am asking, it is going to buy culverts. Is your role supposed to buy culverts? So my whole point is that let's allow different institutions play as per their mandate.
True.
Not politicians, not organizations to do roles they are not supposed to do.
True.
Just like we are seeing the speaker herself donating 450 millions to a hospital. It is a good
and me, I even want to
think
the quality of the leaders that we have in that parliament is also a question on another day. Because how can all this take place?
No,
and none
okay.
of them had risen years.
But these leaders come from society. They come from us. So again, that argument to me, because these leaders come from society, they don't fall from heaven.
Because
they come from the community.
All this be really happening? And we have 57 NUP MPs, we have 9 of DP, we have 10 of UPC, we have 30 something of FDC. People have been quiet, like there is nothing happening.
They are all
and we are into this, and people have been complaining of roads in Kampala. People are complaining of mothers dying in hospitals. MPs have been quiet. And me, I believe it is time for a Ugandan to take over and know that this is our country. It is our time that we came together, and these are things that should really be bringing us together. That we should know that we are alone in this side, and we just sent people to go and you not divide themselves and eat.
Okay, tomorrow
in Parliament, MPs decide which salary they should earn. We do not have anything like a salary commission to decide, and this is where an MP ends up earning 30-something salary, $1 million of salary. A doctor is earning 1 million. A teacher is earning 300,000.
True.
And
It's
we
appalling.
are all going on as if we are in a normal country. It is actually not.
Actually, the people on whose blood and sweat this country is built, and peanuts, because the teachers that everyone goes to that class, the hospitals,
salary commission,
they
seated somewhere,
they
to
are
decide
living like destitutes.
for us.
Yeah? So you know, but Sam has been quiet.
I was trying to
be
contemplate
unfair to-
about what my brother was trying to submit. The reason as to why you see these budgets and donations coming in, it's part of politics that government is using to portray a picture of its leaders that they are problem solvers. I think you've always seen people on TV, Mama Nabanja, Mama Speaker.
So it's a populist thing.
There's even a lady who walked to Parliament just of recent, and the Speaker gave her fees. I think it's one way of showing the country that, you know, our leaders are empathetic, our leaders are doing
populist.
this. Yeah, it is populist in that sense. The other reason as to why you see Parliament is quiet and yet critical issues are happening these days is because Parliament is now more of a money-making venture. Because now the patronage itself starts with us, the Ugandans, starts with the mindset. In a way that if you do not have 200 plus millions today, you cannot win an election in Uganda. Now, someone has spent close to 300 million or 500 million to buy you off. And you Ugandans are saying, we are only voting for this person who has the financial muscle. Do you expect this same person to come and deliver services? Of course, the fact is that when they get the other side,
we are part of the
they're going to
problem.
recollect themselves together and maybe pay back the money lenders and reestablish themselves and put back the property they lost when they were going to Parliament. So I think that is where the problem is.
So we are part of the problem.
We are part of
as
the
people.
we are part of that problem that we've accepted to be patronized in that way. But if we voted for leaders considering the looking at merit or meritocracy, looking at leaders who are self-composed, we have MPs who cannot even debate in Parliament, simply because they have the money, simply because they come from certain families. Actually, it has happened with a certain tribe or something of the kind. I'm just imagining if we dropped an MP's salary, for example, to 2 million.
No one will
We would even have constituencies that have unopposed members of Parliament, or where even EC struggles to nominate a candidate. So the reason as to why you see all this happening is because politics has been commercialized. The reason as to why we're not getting the service delivery because people know that I'm working for this daily bread thing because they are not even sure that they are coming back. The pressure is even too much back home. So the only way is to steal government money, steal money of the taxpayer, and see how best they survive. So basically it goes back to us. These leaders are accountable to us, and we the locals, we the citizens have a big role to play in putting these, in making sure these leaders are accountable to us.
So when does a layman in Uganda have to account for, when do we really put these leaders of ours to accountability? Do we even have that day or time?
We are poor.
So,
Yes, Jimmy. No, but maybe the opportunity is at the point of renewing that mandate. You can say, for you, we sent you last time. So I think that is where you can practically hold them accountable. But during the course of their
I'll give you
5
an
years,
example. In my constituency,
you will be held accountable according to how much you gave back.
Comrade
to them.
Shedega, in my
Oh,
constituency.
so that is the scorecard of
Exactly. And
accountability.
that is what the leaders are responding to.
Not how many bills you proposed in the
Yeah,
house,
exactly.
but how many donations you
Yes.
sent
It
down
was
there.
that
The funerals you attend, the one.
In Uganda here, if you are going to be a judge, if you are going to be a lawyer, if you are going to be a doctor, they teach you what you are going to do. But if you are going to be an MP, who tells you what you are going to do there?
They always have
And
induction
then,
in the first week.
how does the community know what you are going to do? It is through you
The civic
that you are the
education-
one going to tell them, I'm going to parliament to
Civic
bring for you
education
roads,
was
to bring because they don't
scrapped
know
off.
what you are going to do. So when you enact a law, it is hard for you to explain them to the community, to your village, that I went and did my role. That what was your role? I enacted the law.
Legislation, oversight,
So, electoral
legislation,
commission-
oversight,
Electoral
budgeting.
commission
Those ones
don't
they
do
don't
it.
know about.
Yes. So the electoral commission ends their work after the end of election. And yet their role could be
Voter
to teach the
sensitization.
society what the leaders you are sending them for what exactly? The ones that are at the district level, what are they going to do? What are the councillors going to do? The villagers don't know what they are going to do. They just mere vote because I have said, this is 2,000 for you to try to go and what? Take a border.
The best
When I was in the village, they would hire all the border men and they go and pick all the people from home. They pick you, you say, as they are bringing you, they tell you who to vote. Then you come, you vote, they put you on a border and
They
take
take
you back. And that is the service. That is exactly the service. Because this old person does not know what leaders have to do. I say.
Yeah.
So if leaders were taught what they are going to do, which was, of course, scrapped in political education and in the, at the university, all those courses were being scrapped off because I don't know for what reason. But leaders are going because the criteria of going to parliament is senior 6. At senior 6, do you know what parliament is about?
Not really.
You don't know. So you are also going there. You yourself don't know what you're going to do, but also the community that has voted you also don't know what you're going to do there. So what you are going to do is to
I think you're a problem
their
solver.
demands.
Everyone doesn't know what. Everyone doesn't know.
Exactly. So we are at that point where nobody knows what a leader is going to do wherever they are watching to go. Then, so giving out is the only response because that is the demand.
That is the language they
The
understand.
best donor wins.
Yes, Tike, as you chip in, just what does the scorecard for an MP look like? When the people down there are vetting our MP, what are the check boxes that they have to tick in the practical sense today?
What they have to take, in reality,
The practical
what they
sense,
are supposed to
not the
do-
ideal, not the ideal. Oh, they should take a person who has brought in bills. No. On ground, what are they going to consider as a good member of parliament, a good speaker, a good president at that level?
Okay, what happens is that for you to be taken as a good MP in our setting right now, it's how many people have you buried? Yes. How many people have you buried? How many parties do you attend to? How much did you donate to a church? Yeah. Then they also look at which tribe are you? Yeah?
Family.
How am I going to benefit? How much money has he given me? Yeah. Those are the things that right now they are considering. However, it should have been what have you done? What do you intend to do? Yes? And how have you done? Because you do not just wake up to be a leader. There must be a history of how you have performed. However, the community nowadays does not have to look at the history of how you have been performing and what they should expect of you. Yeah? Even the institution that is supposed to teach the community who is responsible for what, yeah? The Electoral Commission does not do so. So my whole point is, I want to disagree with what Comrade Okulu is saying, that leaders, they are not told what they are supposed to do. My brother, it's not a question of whether the
being
leaders
taught.
are like they are not supposed to be told.
They should know.
They should know what they are going to do. For example,
My
when I
own.
was contesting as a secretary for publicity and information of WUNSA, I knew what to do. Eh? I knew what I was going to change. I already knew that indeed all the communication channels of the institution are down. So it is me to streamline them. I knew what I'm supposed to deliver. To streamline all the communication channels, to make sure that they are no longer stolen.
Also everywhere.
To make sure
To this slogan.
to make sure that all the information of WUNSA goes where it is supposed to be. All the scholarships of the institution are supposed to be in every corner of the of the country. It's not a role of any other institution
to teach you.
To teach a leader what he's supposed to do. However, it is sometimes it is needed.
So no, that is the ideal. He's saying that what is happening today is that leaders don't even know, like, because of the civic competence of society generally. Because yours is the ideal. I mean, a leader, before you show interest for any position, understand what is the role of an MP. It is in Article 79 of the Constitution, clearly stipulated there. So, no, that is ideal, but the practice out there is that is different. Is different. The practice is what he has said.
TK.
You're giving us the ideal. Yeah.
I want to address my brother TK that where you are is different from what is happening on the other side.
I know.
What is happening on the other side is that the father will accumulate a lot of money and come ask the son, don't you think you can make it? 1 billion. You go and contest.
Yes.
You don't even know what you're going to do. You're not even sure. And that is what he's talking about. That for now, as we talk, the person who has a lot of money, the person who is very well known, who has made their names, will make it to parliament. And going back, the prerequisite is how much did you donate to churches? How many burials did you attend?
Parties.
How many parties did you attend? How many borders did you buy reflector jackets? And that is the way the weighing scale.
Even where I come from, they would actually even question if I'm married. It was
You're married when?
They would measure my competence basing on marriage. Can you imagine? I have the qualifications, the constitutional qualifications, but they will go ahead. Do you have a house in the constituency? Are you married? You do not have children, so how do you want to go and reason on behalf of us? Like, really, you find that our society is still backward and traditional to that level. They will not look at your competence. They will not look at your abilities to deliver, but they are rather looking at your marital status. And there was even another MP or another aspirant somewhere who did not have children. But the other opponent was saying, can you imagine, the other person does not give birth. So therefore, he may not be empathetic enough. So really, that's where our country is heading.
Yeah.
But I believe it's not yet late. As a generation, we can address these issues, and we can also come up. But because we still have that patronage kind of disease that is surrounding, that even every young person who shows up is compromised with a job, become an RBC.
And we have become accomplices
and that's why the status quo is not changing. Of course, when you even try to come up, then you're abducted, you're tortured, and we've become silent because at times you think you have a future ahead of you. At times you think, even the people, by the way, we are following, even in opposition, the people that we are following, our mentors, but are acting to the contrary.
Yes.
Now you find yourself, you're pushing the agenda, but your leader is in bed with the other side. And at times our dreams are cut short. Even our inspirations are cut short. Our voices are held up in a certain bottle somewhere because we are being disappointed. Patronage is almost everywhere. We are being patronized here and there, even in institutions, even at universities. There are a lot of politics going on. You go even at home. Even our own parents, their children they love most. These ones they will take to this school. So it is almost everywhere. It is a generational problem.
Okay. We have to be out of this place, guys. I'll give you each just 60 seconds to give us your parting shots. I'll begin with you, Sam, as I go towards Jimmy. Just look to the camera and give the young people out there your last words in a minute.
Our dear viewers, I think we are the country, we are the generation that we've been waiting for. We have a hidden giant within us that I believe we need to awaken and put our country in order. It's either now or never, because our dreams begin to end that they will become silent about issues that matter. Thank you so much.
Wow, interesting. Helen?
So the young people now are the majority in this country, but we need to put these numbers to use. Now that we have information about what is happening in this country, can we really light a torch and be the ones that are talking about these issues and be the ones to act? Because if you choose to sit somewhere and keep quiet, after all, these things are going to affect all of us. So for me, I think that whoever is not involved yet should just involve themselves and follow and join us wherever we are at the table of not only making noise about these injustice things that are happening now, but also engage in any activity that can overturn and make things work out for us.
Yes, TK.
Dear viewers out there, most especially the younger ones, there is no country we can call motherland apart from this very one. So the onus is upon us to realize that we have a mandate to perform. And whenever you're given any task, please perform it to the expectations. Then no one stops you to question whatsoever wrong that you're saying. I ask you and task you to be bold enough to question systems and organizations and institutions to make sure they are in line to what you expect or to what they're expected of in terms of performance. Otherwise, it is a question of values that we must hold to higher standards so that we can realize a new Uganda. Leave alone the issue of parties, tribe, religion. It is just a mandate that we must check on our values and please keep to the values. Thank you so much.
Yes, Jimmy.
A story is told in the Bible where Moses had to go back to Egypt and meet the king that he had grown in his house, but depart from his rule. And he told him, I have come back to ask you to let the Israelites to go. Yes, you may have grown under someone as a young man, as a young lady, but time comes when you need to come out and bear allegiance to your own ideology and your own leadership skill so that you can be able to impact the society that we are living in. Now, as young people, this generation depends on us to either depart from the patronage that have brought us up and follow the right way to change our society, or to remain under them and do as they tell us. But that choice is in our hands. It is possible with you and with me. And we can be able to change the narrative of leadership, the narrative of service delivery, the narrative of the answering the questions of society in our generation today. I thank you for listening and for following us.
Well, thank you. That by all means brings us to the end of this conversation. Sam, thank you very much. Helen, TK, and Jimmy, thank you so much for your time. Well, to the young people out there, I will just put our conversation in a statement. And I'll borrow the words of Frantz Fanon in his book, Wretched of the Earth, where he said that, every generation must identify its generational mission, and the choice to betray or fulfill this is entirely up to them. Are we going to be that generation that will make a difference in terms of, creating a new narrative and creating a new dynamic shift for this country? Your guess should be as good as mine, which is, it is possible and we can do it. Thank you for listening and for tuning in. Until next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.